Right, good morning. Gav Wharton talking, Gav. We're with Jonathan Brash, who is aiming to be the next MP for Hartlepool, Labour candidate. I've just introduced you, even though I said to him introduce yourself, but we're all new to this. So, Jonathan, most importantly, if you are, why do you want to be MP for our town?
Well, because it's my hometown. I grew up here. You know, my kids go to school here. I met my wife here. You know, I've spent my childhood in this town, and you know, I'm absolutely involved in it at almost at every level. And you know, I want it to be better than it is at the moment. I think we're really struggling on a lot of different levels. I think that there's a lot of community organisations doing fantastic work in our town, but they need more support. I think you look around and you think nothing's working right at the moment. Our NHS is in crisis. The crime on our streets is too high. There's a housing crisis in the town. You know, this town's future is my family's future, so I only want the best for it. And you know, I wouldn't be an MP anywhere else in the country. I wouldn't be interested. I only want to be MP for Hartlepool because it's where my kids are growing up, where my family's growing up. It's where I want to be.
So, at the minute in the town, what do you think the main issues are?
I think there's some huge issues around, and I know we're going to come on and talk about mental health later on. I think there's a massive issue there that's oftentimes related to issues of substance abuse and alcohol abuse, but also much more widely to things like housing, crime and antisocial behaviour, support for our younger people in the town. You know, I've spoken to head teachers in this town who's talking about a mental health crisis in our young people right now. There's huge issues, and you know, basically, what do we want in our town? We want a town that's got good jobs. People can get on and you know, aspire to do what they want to do. They want to live in a community that's safe and secure and happy. And then when they need support and they need help, there's somewhere they can go and get it from. On all three levels, I don't think we have any of those at the moment.
No, definitely
I think that's what we need to change.
Guaranteed. So, if you're elected, how are you going to address these issues?
Well, the biggest thing for me is what you need in Hartlepool is a voice that's prepared to shout louder than everybody else to get what Hartlepool needs. And that means we need an MP who's active, who's here, who's fighting the town's corner every single turn. You know, I've already started campaigning on massive issues in our town around hospital services, around housing, around the petrol prices in our forecourts. I'm gonna fight our corner. Now that is really tough. There's some really big challenges ahead for us.
We do understand that. But
there's some really big challenges. But let's look at what's coming down the line in the future. There's going to be a revolution in this country when it comes to clean jobs, clean energy jobs. You know, the new industries that are coming forward. They are on their way. They're happening. Now, I don't want them going down the road to the south like everything always happens. I want them here. I want them here in Hartlepool. We've got an industrial heritage in this town. There is no reason why we can't be the absolute epicentre of new industry and innovation. And when you get that, you get good jobs. When you get that, you get partnerships with our brilliant FE college. You know, you can train people. Once you solve the issue of getting people really good jobs so they can get out of this cost of living crisis, so they're not worrying every day about how to make the ends meet, how to pay the bills, then you can start building a town that we can be proud of.
And we're grafters.
Absolutely.
Grafters, man.
You know, it's about giving people the opportunity. Our FE college is incredible, right? It is an incredible place. Darren Hankey, the principal there, has done amazing things. They are training people every day with new skills and new abilities, but they've been underfunded every single year for 13 years. Their budget's been cut in real terms. That can't be sensible. That's not a sensible way forward. We've got to change that.
Right, so how can the public, if they've got any issues, how do they bring them issues to you?
Well, you're currently sat in 206 York Road. My stupid face is on the sign out there, and people can come here. We're going to have drop-in clinics where you can come in any time. My phone number is on every piece of literature that I have. That you know, you can get in contact with me. It's everything. You go on my Facebook page. You can message me there. One thing I pride myself in more than anything else in the world is that we serve the public. The public don't serve us. We're not ruling
like they have for years, as how it's been.
Absolutely not. My job is to serve the public. So when you get in touch with me and say I've got this issue, I've got that issue, you can't click your fingers and solve everything, but I'll blooming well try, and I'll do my best, and I'll always respond to people.
I think what it is with this town, Jonathan, right? If the people see that you're grafting for us, we need transparency. We need to know where the money's going. Absolutely. Why is it not going to the right places?
Absolutely.
We need to be updated every week. What if someone's brought an issue to you, to whoever's in power? There's that bridge, that gap to the community, and if people can see that you're genuinely doing something, this town will back anyone to the hilt who's going to back us. because it's went too long that we've been left alone in the dark.
Well, let me give you one example of something. I'm not going to be party political about it. I have no interest in that. But we had a thing recently called the Towns.
It's your job, though.
Well, it is my job a little bit. Yeah, I know it is. But I'm going to try and be constructive and nice. We've got something called the Towns Fund. And it's a government fund that is used to pay for different projects. In Hartlepool, our council, which isn't controlled by my party, but our council decided to use £1.25 million to give to a private company to do up their building so they could have a hotel.
Wow.
Now, think about all the community organisations in Hartlepool who are grafting every day with volunteers, trying to pay the bills. What could £1.25 million done for them?
Honestly, Jonathan, you'd change this town and you'd save lives. If not even that much money, right? If you give £500,000 to all the organisations I work with, just between us, by the way, between us, we could revolutionise this town. We could save lives.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about mental health; it's about poverty, the poverty situation, the housing situation.
Absolutely.
I go to the city centre quite often because if you see what my videos, I don't ring people. I go knock on the doors and say what you're doing. So every time I go there's 3 people homeless outside the housing office.
Yeah.
I talked to the housing bloke in there, I was helping a family who were in a rented house what was in disarray. And the first thing I said to him was, "Is that not embarrassing? There's 3 people there." Nobody said to me, "They need to come in to see us." I said to him, "You're getting paid a wage. All you need to do is go outside, speak to them. If they don't want your help, fair enough, you've done your bit." But the days of us having to beg for help and having to be under a certain criteria to get help, it's not right. So people are getting paid a lot of money to look after us, and it's not happening.
Well, look at the housing situation, Hartlepool. That is an absolute classic case of the problem. First of all, I think we're in the top 10 local authorities for empty properties in the town centre. So there is huge resources there that are just not getting used. I'm afraid the private rented sector needs reform. We've got a situation where we've got a lot of landlords in this town who aren't from the town, don't live in the town, don't really care what's going on in the town, and they're allowing their houses to fall into rack and ruin, and even with people living in them, standard of living is terrible. So look, I think housing is a massive issue that really contributes to a lot of the issues that you're campaigning on, and we've just got to do a better job. We've got to, it doesn't take money necessarily, it takes effort, and that's different.
The biggest thing that annoys me is I took another, because I work with a lot of people during the week. Just people message me, and I have a responsibility now to go out and people, even though it is hard work. But I took a lad down there before, and he said something like, they asked him a question, I can't remember what it was, and straight away they were like, because of that answer, we can't help you. Where first, what they should be doing is going through every tick box to see why we can help that person instead of looking for the first reason not to. That's the culture now.
I've come to realise that the job of a politician is to find the barriers, whether it's local businesses, whether it's people in need, whether it's our public services. There's always a barrier being put up by somebody. Our job's to knock them down. Our job's to knock those barriers down to get people the help and support they need.
So we'll go on to the mental health aspect, because obviously that is my main thing.
Absolutely.
So I just want to know personally what's your understanding of mental health, if any.
Well, look, my degree is in psychology, so I suppose I've got a little bit of an insight, although I would never profess to be an expert. Look, I think mental health is about how people interact with the world that they live in and how they cope with that interaction and how each day they're able to get by. And it's what's really clear to me, and obviously you're far more than me, you're the expert because you're really involved in
I wouldn't say I was an expert.
No, I think
I've been through a lot.
I think don't play yourself down. I think what you're doing is absolutely incredible, mate, and I think you're raising an awareness of an issue that's so important. We've got a mental health crisis going on. There is, and I think it's one of those things where it's really easy to stigmatise. It's really easy to go, that's not real. It's not like a physical illness. It's not like breaking your arm or whatever. Well, it's worse.
You'd much rather have a broken arm than live in my head.
It's worse because no, absolutely, because do you know what? If I break my arm, I go down to the hospital. It gets put in a cast. 6 weeks later, the cast comes off. It's fixed, done, and don't have to think about it ever again. Correct. That's not the way mental health works. Mental health is much more complex, much more difficult to solve. But we've got a situation where the problem is growing and growing and growing. And we're in the cost of living crisis, at the moment, where people are literally waking up every single day wondering, how do I get through?
Waking up hungry.
How do I wake up hungry? How do I heat my home? How do I get through? How do I get to tomorrow? What does that do for a person's peace of mind and their anxiety?
And if you're already going through mental health, and then you have that on top of you, and there's no support there. This is why we're losing lives, because people are just go, there's nothing in this world for me. Where there is, there's a lot in this world, but we do need help, and it needs to come quick.
And you know what? Even if you're a cynic, I mean, I'm not a cynic. I know people need support. I know people need help. But even if you're one of those people who's a cynic who goes, "Oh, I'm not really into this sort of stuff," even if you're that person, right? Solving mental health problems is good for the economy. It's good for jobs.
Crime.
It's good for crime. Yeah, it lowers crime. Yeah. It improves our economy.
Crime, yeah.
You know, it's good for bringing crime down. It's good for our economy. There is absolutely no good reason why we shouldn't be tackling this issue. And the reality is, I'm afraid mental health support in this country has collapsed. It's collapsed.
With me as well, Jonathan, is what I look at is, so in the last 15 years, how mental health has evolved is like, I don't think anyone understands it. You cannot go to a university and do training from 20 years ago and know what's going on today in this world. Yeah. I know what's going on in this world today with mental health is because I'm living it, you know what I mean? I'm living it today. I live it every day. I've lived it for the last 10 years. So between the professionals and the streets, they need to come together and take our experiences and put them into something practical.
I think this is one thing that people miss so often is, you know, one of the things that I pride myself in doing is never saying no to an opportunity to speak to somebody. Yeah. You know, whether it's a local business, whether it's someone like yourself who's campaigning on mental health, whether it's a local community group, never say no, because I don't know what it's like day to day for those organisations and for those people. They do. A politician's first job should be to listen before they start talking. Too many politicians talk before they listen. It's got to be the other way around. You know, I was at Hartlepool Carers a few weeks ago. I found it's like I didn't know. There are 10,000 unpaid carers in Hartlepool, the youngest of whom is 5 years old.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Now, that's something I didn't know going in. I now think about that all the time in terms of those unpaid carers doing that incredible role because I'm prepared to listen. That's the job of a politician.
Definitely, and if you're going to listen, you're going to learn, and you're on the right tracks. So, with me lately, obviously, you know, I've done my walk.
Yep, absolutely.
And before I've done that walk, I've got the text on my phone, on the 28th of June, I went to one of your road doctors.
Right.
Begged them to help me, please help me, like, I need help, nothing we can do. I said, they've red flagged me, 2 week turnaround to see the mental health team. Where are we at now? Nearly 28th, like the 14th of this month, so in 10 days it'll have been 2 months. So then I've went and done my walk. I've suffered more with mental health because of my walk, because I've not done well on my own, I was on my own. And I've came back and then I've tried to access the services again over the last few days, and there's nothing there, so I even went as far as to try. I had about 26 quid in my bank. I've tried to get Bupa healthcare, but they won't take you on because you've already got an existing condition. So that's just a bit about my story. Like the help, it's just not there. Yeah, it's not that it's failing people. It's just not there.
I mean, what you're pointing to again, and I'm desperately trying not to be particular about it, but you've got a situation where the NHS has been driven into the ground by this government, and in terms of mental health, I think it's probably suffered the most. And we've had so many empty promises over the years about how we're going to reform this, solve that, more money there, more money this. And do you know what? Your lived experience points to one clear fact: it hasn't happened. No. It hasn't happened, and it has to change. And I think, you know, from my perspective, what the Labour Party are talking about is actually putting mental health into communities, mental health hubs in every community, and mental health professionals in every school, because we recognise the severity of the crisis we're facing.
I wouldn't even pretend to say that there's an easy resolution.
No.
But in the short term, right, all you need to do is give 5 or 6 part-time workers, put them in local community centres, we're here. Get out on the streets, like, so when I first started, like, we'd go and walk around somewhere, most nights, like, me and my team, and just speak to the kids. Don't even have to speak about mental health, just have a bit of banter with them, let them know you're here, let them know what's going on. And there's nothing there in the community, so I'll get into that later anyway. So, back to community organisations. If the government are not going to help us, they need to back us. So, there's a pot there, £15 million, and where's that going? We need transparency on where everything's going. You've got the likes of Let's Connect, Lillian's Cornerstone, Headlight Project.
Absolutely.
There was a bloke called Al Dev, I don't know if you know Al.
I do,
Good bloke, does a lot in the community, good friend of mine. And you've got Hartlepool Outreach, and we're out in them streets every day, battling these things, we've not got a penny. So the people who are getting paid are doing nothing, and the community organisations are getting nothing and doing everything. We need that to change. Sorry, Jonathan.
No,
also, what the government doesn't do either. So, say Let's Connect probably put in with all their staff, say 1,000 hours a week, right, of work, and they're the main hub in this town, right? But the government doesn't go and collect statistics off them, doesn't go and ask them what's happening here, what's happening there, and that's why the government's so out of touch, because why are they not liaising with Let's Connect, which has lost its funding due to a system where if you're the lowest bid, then you get the contract. So our mental health goes to whoever's the lowest bid. It shouldn't be like that. There needs to be a better system in place. So basically, that's what we want from the government. Is we don't need your help. We just need the resources what you have got to look after ourselves. You know what this town's like. It's full of amazing, great people who they don't want help. They don't want to ask for help, but we need it.
You know, this. Everywhere you look in Hartlepool, there's a community group doing something amazing. You know, you know, whether it's even the provision of clothing. You know, we've got organisations in this town that are just looking after the basics, which would contribute to people's mental health. But as far as I'm concerned, I think you're absolutely right. We need to back the community organisations in our town. And I'll tell you what I'll do, Gav. I'm very happy to get you into the council to meet our Director of Public Health. I've had somebody in from a community organisation to talk to him about the strategy around mental health before. I'll make sure that you get. I mean, I'll come with it. I'm absolutely happy to do that, because I agree. Instead of trying to replicate what the community services are doing, just back what community services are doing.
We've got to trust them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Not to a T, but give us £1 million. Give us £1 million, and I guarantee you. So that's all the statistics I can find. Is I don't really like statistics because I don't need them, because I know what's going on. I'm living out there. But if you want to be in this game, you've got to come up with some sort of solid information. So 2.8% higher the suicide rate than the other actors in Hartlepool, of a town of 90,000, right? I know for a fine fact, and I wouldn't say it on camera if I couldn't do it, with all these organisations in the town, we could get that back to where it should be. Not at a zero, it's impossible, you can't save everyone, but we can definitely save a lot more people than we are. So you've got 5,000 children in this town. This is 28.6% of the children live under the poverty line. Like, that's kids waking up with no breakfast, you know what I mean? It really upsets me in the night.
And there are some parts of this town, Gav, where over 50% of the kids are living in poverty. So I mean, you think about looking across a playground and thinking 1 in 2 of those kids is going home to poverty.
You can, but you know what it is? It's not like we need the parents to come and say to us, these kids are under malnutritioned, or they're not getting fed properly. You can just look at the kids. If they've got £150 trainers on, they're going to get a meal when they go up. And if they've got a hole in the trainer, they're probably not getting the right support at all. But then that's still not down to the parents, because I could be in that situation. My kids, because of my mental health, because I've been let down, then maybe the next generation gets let down because I don't have the skills to pass that on. So, like, it's so complicated.
And one of the things to really put to bed is this absolute lie, frankly. This is about people who are not prepared to work. People in poverty are working. They're working,
grafting,
and they're in poverty because they can't earn enough with the cost of living crisis, with the soaring energy bills. They're in a job and they still can't earn enough.
Not right.
So we're living in a world now where you work hard every day and you still don't have enough to get by. What does that do to your mental health?
I know people who go and work on sites still 50 hours a week, like proper solid graft as well. Like they're absolutely knackered their bodies, and then they're still in minus by the end of they've paid all the bills. Like rent, not too much rent, but like shopping, it's stupid. But listen, people relate to this is because I remember going to Aldi about a year ago, right? And you'd spend 60 quid, and you'd be sound for a month. Go and spend like 160 quid now, and you food run out.
I always come back to the price of butter. I can't get over literally how much the price of butter has gone up.
It's 7 quid for the
7 quid, yeah, absolutely. It's just insane. And I think, you know, we've really got to focus on this idea. Look, there's a modern country like us, at the heart of it should be a basic fairness. If you go out to work and you work hard, every day, you should be able to provide for your
You
family.
should be able to live a happy, stress-free life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. That should be the basic fairness in our society, and it's not there right now.
I keep looking at the camera because my phone might go off that as well. So there's another one for you. What absolutely shocked me is the life expectancy in Hartlepool. If you're a man, you're going to die 12 and a half years sooner than if you go and live in New York. You should not die earlier because of where you live.
Yeah.
And that comes down to poverty, mental health, bad health services,
housing, health services,
yeah.
Absence of the good jobs, all of it is. And I think, and again, that stat that's so well used. The most common form of death for a man 18 to 50 is suicide.
And that's the most
the most common form of death.
It's madness. So. That's just another little note what I had there. So this will blow your mind as well, because this blew my mind more than anything, right? A bloke is being banned from Samaritans for a month for ringing too much. Like, I know this bloke, right? And then it just goes down to them people who work in that call centre. Not down to them, they clearly have not been trained and educated enough.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's ringing the Samaritans that much, then someone should be told about that.
Yeah.
Not someone on the end of the phone, someone in Hartlepool, and they should be going, right, what's his name? Where's his phone number? Let us ring him. You know what I mean? It needs to be, we need to be engaging with the people who need help, because people who are going to kill themselves, they don't kick up a fuss, and they don't do this, they don't do that, but just go and do it. And if someone knows that someone's having a bad time, and even people who don't want to die, right, this is what happens, is they get that frustrated, and they get that pissed off that they've tried to get out that much. Because I've been there myself, and what they do is they go, right, I'm going to prove a point here, and they don't want to, and they go and do it, and then they might be in a cry for help, and it ends in the West thingy. So the times of, like, they need to come to us, no, you're paid to do this job, go and do it.
It's about attitude, isn't it? It's about where you come from. I remember one of the things that disgusted me so much about a certain group of councillors, shall we say, in the town, is when they put those signs up saying don't give money to homeless people on the street. And
Who's got the right to say that?
And their argument was, oh, well, because that'll encourage them to seek help. And I was like going, we should be going to help them. Like, we should be reaching out to people in need who have literally not got a roof over their head. And instead you put up signs saying, don't it's like don't feed the pigeons down at Seaton, don't give money to the homeless people. It's disgusting.
I'll tell you what destroys any work that I could ever do, and what the community sector does, is when I was watching Newsnight about 6 months ago, I won't say any names because I'm not fully thingy, but what was said was they're feeling sorry for themselves, and that's someone at the top of government, saying that, and how many people listen to them in like rural communities when they don't know mental health so much, they're just going to go straight away for them towns because they're just feeling sorry for themselves. And then another one, massive eye opener, I was in Shrewsbury on my walk, and obviously I had my backpack on, my sleeping bag, my things, and in Shrewsbury, massive homelessness, because it's affluent area, the flock there, so it's on the hope that someone will chuck them a tenner. And like, I was just going around trying to speak to people in the town to get a gist of what's going on, and the way I got looked at, and because all the homeless looked like me because I've got the backpacks on, and they wouldn't speak to me. The only people speaking to the organisation, you try to speak to someone and they just blank you, and that's a perception. Do you know what I mean?
And I think the best thing about what you're doing, Gav, is that you are putting that face on those issues and showing people, you just walk from Wales to Hartlepool, for crying out loud. It's like
Seems like a dream now.
You're not scared of hard work to raise an issue. Do you know what I mean? You're not swinging the lead here.
It was horrific as well.
You are working for this. You are trying to raise this issue, and you know the people we're talking about. You're involved in these people's lives, and
lost too many, mate.
We shouldn't be looking down our nose. Look, don't get me wrong. There's always going to be a grifter. There's always going to be someone swinging. There's always going to be a blagger. And they exist. But you know what? So do people who are in desperate need. And all they want is someone to give them some help. And if they can get some help, they can turn their life around. If they can turn their life around, they contribute to society. That's got to be our goal.
Of course, that's 100%, like, massively. So, another big point for me as well is the weekends. So, Friday, 5 o'clock, everything's shut down till Monday morning.
Right.
There's nothing there. So the main danger zone for like mental health, most things happen on a weekend. Like most people who I know kill themselves on a weekend, and there's no support there. Like,
and that's where your community organisations come in, because they don't shop on Friday night.
Some of them do though, because they can't afford to stay open on the weekend.
Yeah.
There isn't. Not all of them don't.
Yeah.
Like you've got the crisis team. The less I say about them, the better, because, like, yeah, just the less I say about them, the better. Okay. And that's it. Like, there's nothing there. Like, there needs to be something. Like, the hospital's open 24 hours a day. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But you go in there, like, I've went in there, God knows how many times, and they tell you in urgent care they can't help you because their hands are tied. They can't give you no prescriptions. They can't refer you nowhere because it's not your doctor. But then you can't get any doctors.
Absolutely. And the key thing about that you made is a really important point is that when there's in the absence of any other support, you end up in urgent care. And that's clogging up a service, you know, there as well. So what happens is you end up with everybody struggling because there's nowhere for you to get support when you need it. And that's and you know, politicians need to see the sense of offering the support around the clock that you say.
What the politicians need to do is they need to come and walk the streets for me when you go campaigning for this campaign, and you need to come and speak to people. You don't go knocking down fence and the little old deer and take airwork for granted. I'm not saying don't.
No.
But come to the manor and speak to people who've lost lives. Come to the manor of people who are starving. Come to Dyke House. Come, because it's all the same. And speak to the people and see what they want as a collective. And if you politicians deliver that, like you'll be adored. Do you know what I mean? Instead of being like battling each other all the time, like battle each other on your election. But once you're elected, if you've lost, back that person who's won. Because if it's not good for the town when everyone's just fighting their own corner. So there needs to be connection back with the communities, and you need to get out there.
Well, listen, I mean, first of all, count me in. I'll come with you anytime you like. I'll come and talk to anybody you want me to. I'll absolutely do. I'm more than happy to. Second thing is, you're absolutely right. I've been campaigning for investment in, say, our health service. Do you know what? If it's a Conservative government that bring it, I'm happy because our hospitals get invested in. I'm absolutely upfront about that. My first priority is Hartlepool. Hartlepool first, country second, party a distant third.
So for me, just community's key. Like, we don't need investment in the NHS because the money just gets lost there. It's too big and like it doesn't go where it needs to go. We need investment in community, and community's key for me. Right.
Great.
So thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Gav. Cheers, mate.